Hi, kindergartners. Okay, today I have a very old book for you. Look at this little tiny book, and I'm going to show you something really interesting. Oops, I was showing you back. The back looks just like the front, except for I have a little sticker that must have been there. This book was 39 cents. That tells you how old it was. Books do not cost 39 cents brand new anymore. Isn't that crazy? But it's still a really good story, so I want to read this to you. It's called Larry and the Dinosaurs. This week we're learning about dinosaurs, so I'm going to read dinosaur books, and I already read some Clifford books. I have some more Clifford books too. But this one is a dinosaur book. Every night before Larry goes to sleep, his father reads stories from Larry's favorite book, Big Animals of the Past. Ooh, that's cool. Now, I do have to tell you that this book has a lot of dinosaur names in it. I'm not very good at dinosaur names, but I try really, really hard. And because this book is so old, that some of the dinosaur names could have changed. Isn't that weird? But sometimes scientists think it's one dinosaur and they give it a name. And then all of a sudden they realize, wait a minute, I had two parts of a dinosaur I put together to make one dinosaur. And really, it's two different dinosaurs. I can't believe it, but things change all the time. Let me see. I forgot to look when this book was written or when this book was published. You know what? It was so long ago, it doesn't even have a date on there. That is crazy. I don't know how old it is. Here we go. And this is the first one, and he's going to read about his favorite dinosaur. This one has a lot of words, so it's going to be hard for me to show you the pictures. So I'll read it and then show you the pictures. Curled up in bed, he drifts off to sleep, thinking of his favorite dinosaur, the big brontosaurus. There we go. As Larry sleeps, he enters the wonderful world of dreamland and floats back into the past. So his dad read him the story right before bed, and then when he floats off to sleep, he pretends like he goes into the land of dinosaurs in the past. I don't know if I'd want to live back there, but it would be really cool. Larry saw himself as he imagined boys were at the beginning of time. Look what he thought. That's what he thought boys might have looked like at the beginning of time. Larry dreamed he lived in a cave, and as the sun came up, he peered out at the desolate world beyond. Oh. For a pet, he had a pet? Larry had a young brontosaurus he called Bronto. Bronto slept just outside the cave. Oh, I bet that made him feel nice and safe to have a dinosaur as a pet. That's pretty cool. Since Larry and Bronto were both awake, it was time to do some exploring. So off they went with our young friend riding on Bronto's back. There he goes. He's off to explore with his pet dinosaur. That'd be kind of cool. As they wandered about, they saw Bronto's family wading in a river, eating leaves and grass. And there's Bronto's family. The Brontosaurus family were big, very big. And Bronto's father was the biggest of them all. He was 65 feet long. Well, that would be a good pet to have if it was the biggest dinosaur's pet or son. As Larry and Bronto continued exploring, they saw not far away a Tyrannosaurus walking toward the water. Just look at those big and powerful hind legs, the very short front legs with only two claws. These were not long enough to use to put food into his mouth. So he has these little short legs at the front, and he can't grab anything to put it into his mouth. I wonder what he would use instead. I don't want to mess with the Tyrannosaurus. Just a little further, they saw a Diplodocus, all 90 feet of him. These monsters were not only big and heavy, but moved slowly, so they kept well away from the fighting dinosaurs. And that's true. We know that, I'm sure you know that some dinosaurs ate plants and they were not fighting dinosaurs. They just happened to be very big, lots of them. And some dinosaurs, like Tyrannosaurus, he was a fighting dinosaur. So the plant eaters that just ate plants, they stayed far away from those meat eaters whenever they could. Next, they passed by a family of Protoceratops, the young babies in the nest, some just hatching, while mother and father stood alert nearby. The eggs in the nest were 8 inches long. Wow. So there's the mommy and daddy watching their babies getting born out of the eggs. The eggs were 8 inches. Let's see. I'll tell you that. I don't have a ruler right handy, but 8 inches is about that long. That's pretty long. That's pretty, yeah, that would be really long, especially for an egg. That's a pretty big egg. Larry and Bronto decided to move on quickly when they saw the two fighting creatures ooh, approaching them. One had rows of horns on its back. This fellow was a Polycatanthus. The other, only slightly larger, at 15 feet long, with spiky horns all around its body, was the Ankylosaurus. And if you know how to say these names better than me, feel free to let me know or say them correctly as I'm reading. In their travels, Larry and Bronto came upon a swamp where they stopped to drink from a cool, clear pool. Two of the swamp dwellers approached to inspect them. Oh, here comes the swamp dweller, and here comes the dweller. That's a tricky word. The smaller one, 5 feet long, was an Erops. The other, Eogrianius, all 15 feet, looked very angry. Larry and his mount beat a hasty retreat. So they decided not to stick around and play. They just got out of there quick. That's what hasty means, to do it quickly. No sooner had they moved away when Larry said, "Stop! Let's go a different way home. We don't want to go any nearer that Edaphosaurus." This was one of the great lizards with a big sail-like fin on his back. That one right there, that's pretty cool looking. I think it would have been neat to see the dinosaurs. So, but I wouldn't want to live with them, I don't think. So now the adventurous pair turned to home. In the distance, they saw a 15 feet high spiked lizard called Styracosaurus. "Look at the great spikes on his head," said Larry. Grazing not far away was a monoclonius. Bronto said, "They need to eat a lot to feed that 20 feet body." They would have to eat a lot, especially if they're plant eaters. That's a lot of plants they would eat. But our adventurers were becoming hungry. Our adventurers were becoming hungry and wanted their breakfast. So they turned on homeward. As they passed a stream, they saw a Corythosaurus, 30 feet tall. That one has that cool head looking. Bronto said, "My father calls him Soldier because that bony sail on his head looks like a helmet." That's a good idea. Closer to them and looking much bigger because it was 40 feet long was the Anatosaurus. He's back there. He looks a little bit bigger for them. Larry and Bronto moved forward quickly while overhead they saw a group of winged, but moved quickly while overhead they saw a group of gliding reptiles. The pterodons had a wingspan of 25 feet. They were obviously not birds because they had no feathers. Their wings and bodies were covered with skin. That would be an interesting looking bird. I wonder how they flew. That's so cool, isn't it? Oh boy, he started to smell something even stronger. Why do you think he smells something that makes him hungry? Suddenly, we find Larry back in his bed, the smell of breakfast wafting in the door. Slowly, he opens his eyes and realizes that he has been dreaming. Larry knows that all the dinosaurs lived many, many years ago, and the only places to see them now is in a museum. But that would be a really cool dream, wouldn't it, kindergartners? To pretend that you lived with the dinosaurs? Oh, you know what? In addition to making your dinosaur today, maybe you could write a story about a dinosaur and that you lived when they did. That would be so cool. Have a great afternoon. Get a lot of work done today, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.